So Terence Bud Crawford releases his strategy and kind of what he plans to do against Canelo Alvarez. And I think it's a smart thing. You know, Terence Crawford's talking about how he doesn't really have to knock out Canelo. He just has to beat him and believes he will beat him come September 12th against Canelo Alvarez, who was the cash cow of boxing, but honestly hasn't looked good recently. People are talking about how Bud's gonna get murdered, you know, he's gonna get destroyed in there because Canelo's multiple weight classes above him, he's so much bigger than him, he punches harder than him. You know, whatever the case may be, whatever your reasoning for Canelo beating Crawford is, you know, that's all great and all, but look at Canelo's last performances. You know, he hasn't been that dominant. You know, all of his performances aren't like, you know, people are treating Canelo like he's better but he's not. You know, when was the last time Canelo's really stopped somebody and put a beating on somebody? It's been a while, right? And so to think that it's going to be Terence Crawford, I understand that there are weight classes for a reason, but I don't think you guys understand who Terence Crawford is. I don't think he's going to get clipped with anything from Canelo. Canelo isn't able to land clean shots on guys that aren't as fast as Crawford, so I don't think he's going to be able to do it against Bud because Bud's reflexes, his IQ are underrated, you know, and I think people are going to see that when he fights Canelo. And like the same way people are saying Bud doesn't belong in there with Canelo because there are weight classes for a reason, you guys might see why Canelo doesn't belong in there with Bud and there are weight classes for a reason, because he's going to be faster. Like, people always forget the lighter weights are faster. So when Bud comes up there to 168 and, you know, I'm assuming he's going to put the weight on properly, if he's as fast as he is now, like, I don't see Canelo really keeping up with him. I don't think he's going to have the gas tank, the stamina, or the foot speed or footwork to keep up with a guy like Bud. But, you know, it's always that question, can Canelo land something big? But in order for him to land something big, his timing's going to have to improve, his hand speed's going to have to improve, and the foot speed's going to have to improve, and he's going to have to cut the ring off. You know, if he gives opportunities for Terence to escape, Terence's footwork is good enough to the point where he's going to be able to turn, create angles to make it difficult for Canelo to really land a big shot. And that's why I see, you know, Canelo having a hard time with Bud. You know, I'm not saying he's not going to land a big shot, but if these last fights from Canelo have been any true indications of how he's going to perform against Bud, that's not going to cut it. Let me tell you right now, it's not going to cut it against Bud. He's going to have to be busier. His work rate's going to have to be higher. His output's going to have to be higher. You know, I know he fought somebody that was moving a lot, but, you know, I don't expect Bud to stay in one spot either. He's not going to move to the extent that William Skull was moving, but I expect him to be quicker on his feet and be strategic about going in there against a guy who does hit hard. You know, that's only the only thing that Canelo really has to offer, that, you know, he's going to land something big. He's going to try to land something big. So obviously Terence Crawford's going to try to outbox him, be very mobile, move laterally, be quick with the foot speed, the hand speed, and outbox him. Use that jab, switch stances, and make it difficult for Canelo. Force Canelo to move a lot. Don't be a stationary target. I think Bud's got this. If he really locks in and is able to have that defense intact and stay locked in, I think he could definitely win against Canelo Alvarez. I honestly favor him against Canelo right now because, just like what I said before, Canelo hasn't looked phenomenal. You know, I know that he's the cash cow, but that has nothing to do with his last performances. He's the cash cow because of what he's been able to do prior to, you know, his most recent performances. You know, getting big shots, getting a fight with Floyd Mayweather, getting better from that, and ultimately, you know, he's here now, but I feel like his physique, his body is starting to give out on him, and we're starting to see the decline of Canelo Alvarez. And I hate to say it, but, you know, he's getting up there, you know, in boxing age. I'm not saying in age because we know that Bud's younger, but, I mean, Bud's older than Canelo, but, you know, Canelo's had so many more fights, so it's like a car, you know, even though Canelo could be the newer car, he has way more miles on him than Bud does. And Bud is eager to, you know, make history. And Bud's not right in the head, let me tell you. He's crazy. So, like, Canelo's not facing any other regular fighter. He's facing a talented fighter and a crazy fighter. You know, Bud really wants to beat Canelo. He's probably the most competitive person in the sport of boxing. So I feel like it's going to be, you know, relatively interesting, but there's still a good chance, you know, Bud wins a decision. He really doesn't have to knock out Canelo. He just has to beat him in any way possible and get the job done. And then, you know, that's it for him. He takes all that money, gets that payout that rides off into the sunset and retires. So, you know, he just has to beat Canelo by decision. He doesn't have to hurt him, and I think that's what Terence Crawford's going to do. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. But I will catch you guys on the next Navs Boxing video. Peace.